Oh, perfect. Hey, everybody, I'm Tiffany, and welcome to Wise Skies. This is part of our free astrology series that we do every first Saturday. And this first Saturday happens to be Kentucky Derby Day. And I love watching that with my family growing up, and definitely going to do some baking with my daughter later. But I was telling everybody ahead of time that I'm out at the American Botanical Council, and there's a herb show going on, and I wasn't going to be able to come because I'm teaching, and they said, no, come work in our office. And so I wanted to give them a shout out. If you don't know about the American Botanical Council, maybe you could find them on social media and we could support them, because they're certainly supporting us. Some of our Wise Guys members are vendors down there, so it's so cool walking around and running into familiar faces and stuff. But I know that you are here to talk about the North Node. So let me get my tech back going and go into slideshow mode. Here we go. So just a quick question before we get started. Does everybody know what their North Node is? If so, could you put it in the chat for me so I can refer to it? And if you don't know, let me know so I can help you find it. The reason that we love to talk about the North Node in astrology is because a lot of astrologers will say, you know, when somebody's trying to find their purpose, there are many ways that purpose can come through. And hopefully you had a chance to listen to the funny short podcast that Leisha and I did, because there's no way you're missing out on your purpose. You're living your purpose, right? My midheaven is in Virgo. I'm at a herb show. I'm living my purpose out just by being here. You know what I mean? And so nobody's missing out on their purpose. But the North Node is that point that we look to get insight about our destiny. Okay, so we got a Libra, we got a Pisces, we got some chart checking going on. Cool. What we're going to cover is what the North Node can answer. I did break it down through the signs. A lot of you guys know that my favorite book on this subject is the Astrology for the Soul. And so everything I learned about the North Node, I learned from Jan Spiller. And then I applied it to my clients over the last 10 years to try to see really what I thought was true for me and what I thought was true for my clients. And so this is the Bible on it. There's chunks of sections on your sign, right? And so it's really valuable the way that she breaks it up. Healing affirmations, talents and professions, goals for satisfaction, tools for communication, tuning in, focusing on process, all of these different little headlines, what these people really want, their talents and professions. It's so good. So again, what we're going to cover is what it can answer. We're going to go through each of the signs, and most of that content is from this book. I'm going to show you how I do a career reading. So you can do one on yourself. You could do one on me. You could do one if you're in astrology camp. We could do career readings, right? But the career reading is mostly focused on the North Node. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about like real time, the North Node shifts in July and a couple of key dates. These aren't new key dates. They're key dates that we talked about in our 2023 predictions. So yes, these are the herbs I've bought downstairs at the American Botanical Council. I've got my go-to cola. I've got some wildflower elixir, and I'm all herbed up for you guys today. So this will be a fun hour together. So what can the North Node answer? You know, one of the biggest things I get is, am I in the right job? Am I in the wrong job? Am I missing out? You know, has this job or my career, has it run its course? Am I in alignment with my soul purpose, with my work that I really came here to do? And when I talk about work, I don't mean your job, I mean your soul work, right? That expresses itself through our day-to-day exchanges, right? And so if you don't like the life, the job, the boss, whatever that you've created, sometimes you're the boss and you want to fire the boss, right? If you've ever wondered, of course, we've all wondered in the course of our lives if we should be doing something different and when the time is to pivot that, right? If you're feeling uninspired, unfulfilled, if you know that there's more to life, the North Node can help you kind of really just get back in touch with that zhuzh, with that calling, with that special side of yourself that feels like something is being answered and pulled forward and very, very much destiny. The sign of your north node or the house of your north node will convey your special talents, what you really want to do, your destiny duties, and how to honor those things that you came here to learn and do and that you feel called for. It feels very fulfilling when you get in touch with your life fulfillment. A good example, again, I'm at Herb Day. I love it. I'm not an herbalist. I love being here. I know everybody here. I'm the beekeeper, astrologer of the party crew. You know what I mean? And it's so fulfilling to be here. So much so that I'm teaching a class from it. And my North Node, again, in Virgo, the sign of herbs and health and hearth and routine and things like this. So it's going to express for you in your just normal everyday life. But we can't get the juiciness of this North Node adventure without first dealing with your South Node. And so if you're new to astrology, or if you're new to studying this North-South Node axis, the South Node we speak of in terms of past lives. I'm comfortable with that language. Not everybody is. It's just this energy that can almost keep you lazy because you're comfortable in it and you've done it before and it feels very routine and you're probably really good at it. And so it doesn't make sense why you wouldn't be doing it because you already have this zhuzh of life but it's just something that doesn't feel quite so magnetic, charismatic, charming, interesting, you know what I mean? And so we don't want to deal with it. The South Node is kind of like, not only is it our past life, but it's also just that area that we're pretty confident in, that we're pretty unshakable in, and that doesn't get us out of our comfort zone very much, right? And so it's not quite like the shadow, if you know what I mean. The shadow is like a different vibe. It's a different feeling, but the South Node is something that we're very familiar with in our soul. Right now, the South Node in the sky in Scorpio is crossing over my natal Mercury. And so here I am at the American Botanical Council at their herb show, hanging out with all these women. Again, I'm not an herbalist, but I guarantee you I was in a past life because I love everybody here. And it's like they know me and I know them. And it just feels really like there's a good connection going on. Well, the South Node, I must have known them in a past life next to my natal Mercury today, where they're teaching educational courses about ginger and turmeric downstairs and all these other fun herbs to play with. So this is the lessons of the South Node will help you propel you towards your North Node calling. This is the dichotomy of it all. You're welcome to take a screenshot of this. These are just my notes from over the years. This is not only a basic interpretation of where the North Node and South Node is, but it can also help you if you know the house that your North Node is in. You can also look at your house ruler. So that's something to play with too. So what do I mean by that? Like my North Node is in Leo. Okay, so the Leo house ruler is the 5th house, right? And so I could, what am I talking about? So I could also look at the sun, which there's not one. So I guess I could also look at the 1st house. That's not a very good example. I'll give you a better example. Libra, Pisces, Libra, Sag, Libra, lots of Libra North Nodes, Aquarius, Pisces, 6th house. Yes. Okay, perfect. All right, guys. So this just gives you a little flavor, and then we're going to go in sign by sign, and I'm going to spend more time with the people that are here to help you make sure you feel really connected to your North Node. And then, like I said, we're going to go into some real-time dates and what's happening with the nodes in the sky. So where's your North Node? We got that covered. North Node, is anybody in Aries in here? I don't think I saw that, did I? No. Okay, no problem. So what you're learning, if your North Node is in Aries, or this is an important one to look at because the North Node is going to be moving into Aries this summer. And so collectively, what we're going to be looking at are these elements of independence, of being the pioneer, of, I have a friend who I just did a reading for, and her North Node is in Aries, and she's the fire starter. She likes to start things, not finish things. And she's quitting a corporate job planned. She's doing a planned quit because she really feels like this brighter calling. And the only thing that she wants to do is this something that she's in a partner to business with. And when I saw her North Node in Aries, I said, how would it feel if you went and did your own thing and then your companies collaborated instead of being a partner? And it was like her bones had this sigh of relief, because it's like, yes, she needs to have her own separate company with a North Node in Aries. And so what these people really want, right, again, is pulled out of Astrology for the Soul by Jan Spiller. And it comes from, she's interpreting this South Node vibe. So this person really wants this happiness and support with one single partner. So that's the Aries Libra dynamic, right? All right. So there's some things that you can look through here on the slides. Since we don't have any North Node in Aries folks, we'll go to Taurus. So it looks like today Kendra has her North Node in Taurus. That's with us. Awesome. Okay. So Kendra, you'll have to tell us if this feels accurate. You know, as part of your soul journey and your soul work, one of the things that you're learning through are the lessons of worth, your self-worth, your loyalty, your boundaries, your commitment, things like this. The Taurus vibe of loyalty and connection and one foot in front of the other and learning methodically, right? And so what you have is this very sensual thing going on for you, because the opposite of Taurus is going to be Scorpio, right? So she has her South Node in Scorpio. So there's this sensual magnetism to her. And you might find that you attract really powerful people in high places, people with money, people with a sense of power. And then also because you naturally are magnetizing them, you're also attracting your own lessons in worth and power that are done through a lot more stable lens. Let's see, we've got, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to skip forward. Secret career goals is to be like, it's almost like the Taurus North Node people that I've counseled in the past. They're the type that want to be in on the ground level of something. They want to be in from the beginning. They want to be on the basic, the ground floor, the foundation, that feels very good to them. To just inherit a bunch of stuff, inherit a bunch of problems, inherit a bunch of wealth, that's not as exciting as being from the ground floor, working their way up, hand in hand. The Taurus North Node people do need a lot of creature comforts. They work really well with the meal plans. They work really well with things that are like, they know that they're going to be able to relax, right? Like, just give me the boundaries in what they're learning so that they can know when they can relax, this type of a thing. Who else has their North Node in Taurus? So things that you can be preoccupied with are all those South Node shadow side things, the self-sabotage, the trying to get approval from other people, being constantly attracted to crises or traumas or things that require a lot of drama, and so I feel like the Taurus North Node people are great in the emergency room, but they don't really want to be there. They're just kind of good at it. Is this starting to make sense? Yeah, everybody's feeling like it's
Yeah, for me.
okay, good. Thank you. Thank you, Kendra, our Taurus North Node. Our Gemini North Nodes, these are our teachers. These are our people that need to communicate, that have something to say, the wordsmiths, the writers. Everything you know about Gemini, take all that and put it into somebody's life purpose, what they are naturally going to be doing. They have a knack for the learning, the teaching, the classes, right? I know, and I think, was it Anne, was it you that has your Gemini and Sagittarius intercepted? Yeah. Is that what we were talking about? Because it was so cool in astrology camp to see that in Anne's chart, because Gemini Sagittarius, this is the education channel, right? And so when it's intercepted, it's something that's usually hidden from you, and you often find these people like overcoming in a big way. And Anne spent a lifetime in service to education. And I noticed this about my teacher, Lisa, too. So I'm doing a birthday reading for her, and I see that her Gemini and Sag is intercepted. And so it's something that she didn't quite get as a youth, that now she has an international school of psychic development. It's very interesting to see what these interceptions or these little pieces of the chart come out to shine. And so the North Node in Gemini, this is somebody who really needs to shine in an educational platform. Now, I had a lot of people when I was I don't know, younger, tell me that I was going to be a teacher. They saw me with being a teacher. And all I could see was like the chalkboard and the kids everywhere. And I'm like, I don't want to be a teacher. Like, stop trying to tell me I'm a teacher, because I'm not a teacher. And I don't want to hear it. That's not me. I ride horses and pick flowers and, boil mushrooms for tea. Right. And what I couldn't see is the type of teacher I could be, and how cool the evolution of metaphysics has come, in that I've been teaching at a community college, psychic development, at a legit community college, right? Not some weird online thing. And anyway, my point is, with this Gemini, if somebody's saying, oh, you're called to communicate, to convey words, to be a message transmitter, things like this, and you're like, I don't want to do that. Look for it in the flavor that you do like. You need to be spontaneous. You don't need to be locked in. You don't need to be the car that's parked behind the other car. Like, you need freedom to move. You need freedom to get out there, be stimulated by information, and repeat it out there. And I love what Jan says, is these people, what they really want is to be right 100% of the time, right? Because if you're right 100% of the time, you might seek the approval that you're looking for. It never comes from out there, right? So it ends up being this crutch that we use it to teach and to communicate, to seek approval, to be right, because something's lacking in here. And so the soul purpose starts to come in a deeper way. So if you find somebody that's teaching on a subject that they're not good at or whatever, maybe they're looking for approval, or there's something deeper in there that's working its way out. Did we have anybody put Gemini in? No? Okay, cool. Our Cancers. Is anybody North Node Cancer? So this Cancer is a water sign. It's ruled by the moon. Don't see any Cancer folks. Okay, oops, sorry. What you'd think, everything about Cancers, nurturing, supporting, cooking, all of the creature comforts of the Cancer, and also the emotional, it's so weird. The Cancer energy, there's like a wall, like they're not really going to let you into their emotional body, but their emotional body is so huge and deep and beautiful and complex that it's not that they don't want to share that with you. It's that there's going to be some kind of wall up, so that they're almost like protecting you from the depth that they're feeling, right? And so one of their biggest soul purposes is to learn this non-judgment of emotions, this empathy without taking everything on. And a lot of North Node Cancers are actually very excellent teachers, because they really care about mothering the students through, right? And so this can be dangerous if you have students that really want to be teacher's pet, or, you know what I mean? Like, there can be a danger zone in there for them. Now on the challenging side, what they really want is to be in charge, right? To be in control, to be the know-it-all, and to get your approval that they know how to fix everything. They know all the remedies. They know what you need before you know it. I have a woman in my life, this is a bad story, so I'm just going to be vague, who, North Node in Cancer, one of her children ordered some food. Okay, let the kid order what they want, right? And she's like, oh, you don't like that. You like this other thing, right? Like, and so like ordered the other thing. It's a grown ass man. It's not a little baby, like her child was an adult. And so it was so striking. And I love that example as how, like, the bad side of things, right? Scorpio. So the North Node in Cancer, this need to control somebody else's food, what they're eating, because they know what that person needs nutrition wise. And the truth is, she does know a lot. She is a know-it-all. She did know what the kid needed better than he did, but it wasn't conveyed in a way that anybody at the table was very open to hearing. You know what I mean? So, they can have this preoccupation with being insecure and trying to help fix somebody else's problems. Okay. So the North Node in Leo, that's me. Anybody else North Node in Leo? Okay, cool. So we are learning how to have fun. And that was another thing I didn't want to hear. I like Deborah, one of my friends and fellow astrology teachers. She's like, you really need to put your face on your logo. You need to be the star of your company. You need to be up in front. And so the first projects that I did, the first creative projects, Leo creative, right? And having to do with TV, radio, and film was a cookbook series called Trailer Food Diaries. And Trailer Food Diaries was a series of books that I interviewed chefs in different cities of food trucks. And I took all of their grandmother's recipes, and I took all of their recipes, their corporate recipes, and I put them into a book, and I did a series of them, right? So that's the bee in me trying to replicate and swarm everything. But the idea, it's like, how can I both have fun and lead, right? And it doesn't mean that I'm Tiffany, the next Food Network star, but how can I shine and also amplify everybody else, right? That's what I like to do with everything I do. You guys see me bring in other astrologers, other psychics. You see me bring in other beekeepers when I'm talking about bees. I'm not trying to win a Grammy for this shit. You know what I mean? I'm trying to amplify the message and have fun while I'm doing it, right? So I am one of your examples of North Node in Leo. They are, it says we need to strengthen our self-confidence and childlike wonder. I think I'm nailing that with the childlike wonder, right? You see all my plants and stuff that I have been playing with over here. Secret career goals for Leo North nodes is that they want to be recognized for their contribution. And I will speak from my heart that that's true for me, that I like to feel recognized for my contribution, because it means that my life was worth something. It's not from a shallow place of needing a trophy or anything like that. It's more like I mattered, I mattered while I was here. And so the next time you see somebody that you're clear that they're looking for recognition, right? You might think that they're a little North Node in Leo, or maybe they have a sun or moon in Leo and they need to be petted a little bit. It's because they want to know that their whole existence mattered, right? It's sweeter than how we can talk shallowly about people in media. And what they really want, right? The Leo is ruled by the sun. And it governs the heart in medical astrology. And so what Jan says is these people, what they really want is to be loved unconditionally. Well, if you want to be loved unconditionally, you better be loving unconditionally. And it's amazing how many conditions and strings we tie to our love, right? Not just North Node Leo people. There's some more things I wrote for you guys there. Shelly's daughter, your daughter's North Node Leo. Where are you on my screen? Okay, yay. All right, beautiful. Okay, let's see. North Node in Virgo. Any of you guys? Virgo, my secret crush, favorite sign. If I had to pick a favorite sign. What you're learning is responsible service work, right? And that's one of those things, like I told you earlier, like, oh, you're going to be a teacher. I don't want to be a teacher. Nobody wants to be told, like, you're here to be of service. Like, screw your life and your desires and your hopes and your dreams and your goals and the things you want to do with your life. You need to help everybody else do that, right? It doesn't feel like, oh, that's my calling, until you really screw something up and you're in a place of deep surrender and you're like, I just want to help people. Sorry for all I've done, So Virgo, there's this element of purification. Virgo is the virgin in astrology. And there's a certain humility. There's a certain practicality to the North Node in Virgo. So it doesn't mean that all of our North Node in Virgo people need to live on the hill and be nuns and pray for all of the world. Although it would be great if you would want to do that. Yes. You can think, I don't know if Emoto Mazuro's North Node was in Virgo, but as an example that is tangible, right? This is a man who studied water. Okay, so health, clarity, purification, and he studied the impact of emotions on water. And when he went to speak and share his research with other people throughout the whole world, right? He went and prayed at each body of water at the place where he was. That's an example of how that can come out. Now, I don't know that you would necessarily describe him as like virtuous or very any of these other keywords, but you could see it come through that lifestyle, right? That life, that his choice. Now, the the North Node and Virgo people, they really do thrive on stability. And so if you have already had a life where everything's nebulous, everything's unclear, you might, because your South Node is in Pisces, right? So if you've already had a life where everything feels like there were no rules, there were no boundaries, it's going to be easier for you to kind of fall into that artist lifestyle where there is no clarity. And so it's going to take some studying of what healthy boundaries look like. And it's going to take some studying of how to say no. It's going to take some effort. And so through that effort, you're going to see some people with victim mentality, right? So you can see where somebody is on their journey. And do we have, okay, Shelley's sun and 2 X's. Are there Virgo North Node people? Not yet. All right, no problem. Okay, North Node and Libra. Now we've got some people. We've got Karen, we've got Julie D, we've got Sarah. So everybody's a North Node and Libra. And so what you guys are learning are the Libra things, right? Like you're going to be called to some situations in your life that requires justice, diplomacy, and you're going to feel like you're supposed to be the karma police, but that may not be the case. You're going to naturally be in situations that are beautiful, that are luxurious, that you're going to feel your best when people are getting along, when everybody's, there's a smoothness to it, right? A sextile if you're in astrology camp, right? And so one of the things that your secret career goals have to do is that you do want to help fix and balance the scales, right? Libra is the scales. And so this is something that it's an art to it. So Libra energy, when everybody's high, you're low, you equalize, right? When everybody's low, you're high. And it's annoying, but they come back up to meet you, and there's this equalizing energy going on. And so that need to equalize things is a need of the tribe of humanity, right? And it's expressing itself through your unique light. We all have all of the 12 signs of the zodiac inside of us, right? And so it all manifests differently at different times and chapters of our life. But you will always have your North Node in Libra. You will always be seeking some kind of balance, because that's what the tribe of humanity needs in this world. Sometimes is a lot of balance, right? Balancing out. And the South Node will be shifting into your sign. And so you're going to have a lot of interesting karmic connections coming up this summer for about a year. And so the North Node in Libra is up for an interesting ride over the summer and the fall. So pay attention to who comes in your life and feels very familiar, feels like home, right? Invites you to teach your class at their herbal symposium because you're just part of the crew and it just feels good. You know what I mean? So North Node in Libra, all right, you can tend to be preoccupied with what? The opposite, Aries. Other people's need to be themselves. It's almost like there can be an overcorrection in trying to help somebody else's life as them, and you can lose yourself in that other person. And also the South Node, we talked about Aries starting things, not finishing, and that need to be impulsive, right? And so if you find yourself being very, very impulsive, you might be asking yourself, am I in a South Node feeling? Am I in a South Node? What am I trying to say? They don't have coffee here at the herb show. They just drink a bunch of plants. So I'm on my kombucha still. But the idea here is that with the North Node in Libra, you need to seek balance, but you need to do it in a healthy way that doesn't compromise your own peace. If your peace is compromised, you're not helping everybody else gain peace. So I have an example of this that played out yesterday. I have a couple of different people in my life that do supportive work in different capacities. I'm not talking about anybody that you know. So just to be clear on that. These are behind the scenes people that are not part of Wise Skies. And I had to have some tough talks with them. But if I had had these tough talks when I was mad and angry, when I was in the moment, when I was upset, I would have created more of that. And so fortunately, I was really neutral. And I just said, look, this isn't personal, but these are some things that need to balance out. And they did. And that is kind of the magic of the neutral North Node in Libra. The North Node in Libra can get very involved in other people's businesses, and that can be helpful and it can be hurtful, right? What is that Anne Lamott quote? Help is just the sunny side of control, right? So it is an art. It is an intuitive art. And you're learning, Libra is an air sign. And so there's an element of communication that isn't quite so like water, fire, right? Like it's kind of like, let's not take it personally. It's just the scales. They're not balanced out here. I can be neutral about this. And it might not sound so sexy, but it is something that the tribe of humanity needs desperately. And we're going to talk more about that as we get into the timing of things here. The North Node in Scorpio, God bless you all. Anybody? No? Okay, the North Node in Scorpio means that they have their South Node in Taurus. And so these people are typically pretty well set up. Financially, don't have to worry too much, or are around a lot of wealth and luxury and are fairly stable, right? South Node in Taurus, we got the money thing down, we got the stability thing down. And so the North Node in Scorpio allows them to be much more, because of that stability, in their the side of Scorpio that's very regenerative. And so being around people that have their North Node in Scorpio, you might find that there's a certain magnetism, there's a certain charisma, there's a certain charm, there's a certain witchiness to it, there's a certain psychic element, this regeneration, this element of making gold from dirt, right? Like this element of being very alchemical. It's the magician card, right? And so they want to be psychic, or they don't want to be psychic, but they are, and they're often scared of it, right? They're often like, don't want to be seen in the tarot section of the bookstore, you know what I mean? But they're like, I have a friend, one of my fellow master teachers, and she calls her sister, she calls her like a unwilling psychic or something like this, because she's always spot on. But she doesn't want to claim it, doesn't want anything to do with it, and so there's this element of, it would be very empowering, Scorpio power element, to go ahead and accept your psychic gifts and to help do things for positive change. There are two Scorpio women in my life. Now, I know I'm talking about Scorpio as a sun sign, and we're talking about Scorpio as a North Node sign. But if you know Scorpio and you place it in destiny, in your calling, all right, it's a similar conversation. And so these two women I've been wanting to feature in our private Facebook group, just because there's such good examples of, like, there's so much hate out there for Scorpio signs, and like, oh, they're jealous, they're vengeful, like all of the negative things are the very easiest things to grab onto. But these two women, I mean, they're kind of dark and sexy and beautiful, but I don't think that I've ever seen them do anything but uplift other women exactly where they are 100% of the time, right? And that's the best use of this North Node in Scorpio, is to uplift people that are going through changes, that need help, that are regenerating their lives. One of them is in the beauty industry, and one of them is in the herbal industry. And there is that kind of Scorpio is ruled by Pluto and Mars. And so if you think about that, there's the fire, and then there's the density of Pluto to it too. But Scorpio is a water sign, so it's very steamy. And so you're making something out of nothing. You're turning water into steam. You know what I mean? And it's a fixed water sign, which is ice. And so there's this steam and this ice and these elements of change going through their life, right? So they can be preoccupied with all the Taurus stuff, right? So if you just really want to nurture them, just give them their cozy blanket and their tea and their stuff on time, and just make their life easy, right? Their life has already been easy, and so it can be kind of it can be a challenge working with that personality. So Shelley's sharing that her mom was a hoarder and never thought she had enough money, but always did. That's a very good example of that. Yeah. So her South Node is in Taurus, so she was provided for, but never felt like it, right? So self-worth dilemma. Also very psychic, Okay, I know we saw a couple people with Sag. So North Node in Sag is Debbie Fink and scrolling. Camden. Okay, great. Cool. Okay, so North Node in Sag, right? Sag is the philosopher, right? And so what you're really trying to learn in this life is this quest for truth. And what these people really want is also similar to the Gemini, to be right all the time, but to be themselves. And so it's like just being acknowledged for who you are as right is important for part of your journey. So if you're not getting that recognition, you're in the wrong group of people. You know what I mean? Go to yoga somewhere else. Buy your herbs somewhere else. You know, get in a different group, not to only gain recognition, but just to encourage the frequency that's wanting to happen through you. You have an automatic bullshit detector, right? You know, you can see clearly through things. It's not quite the same as psychic work, but it is intuitive, right? It smells bad, something's off, or this is it, this is the right thing, and I'm going to go take this class, right? The North Node in Sagittarius, another thing, this is all like prophetic ability, truth, wow, but really there's a sense of humor to it. There's a lightness, there's a fun to it, there's a good aspect. And so if it doesn't feel good, and if it feels too harsh and cold, you're in the wrong group, right? You need to do something that feels very warm and uplifting and feels like you're on an adventure. If you don't feel like if you're taken on an adventure or on some quest, you're going to lose your life force energy. And so part of your life purpose is to have a good time. It's like the North Node Sag and North Node Leo. You want to hate us because we're here to have fun. And so you hear me say a lot, like, we're here for a good time, not a long time. Well, I am. Not everybody is, you know what I mean? But that speaks directly to my North Node and the other fire sign North Nodes. They need to have fun, you know? And so if we're raising children, if we're raising, if we're in community with people that are younger than us, if we're doing this growth in the tribe of humanity for evolution, for something bigger, we have to have fun doing it. Leo, Sag, Aries, all of the fire signs are needed to get something cooking, to get something going. And so you too, Sag, need to be teaching. You need to be finding solutions because you know what's true for the tribe of humanity. Not all of us are able to discern that, you know? The fixed signs, right? We can get very fixed on something, whether it's right or wrong. But Sagittarius will be more quick to forgive, more quick to absolve, because they're more concerned about what's true than who was right or wrong. And they're going to still be your friend anyway, right? So what they really need is to feel free and to feel understood. And that goes a long way. And, you know, the North Node in Sag is also very poetic. And so, you know, if you think about like, if you were able to, or if you weren't able to, if you can just imagine what is the best university experience, you feel free, you're learning exactly what you want. You have the ability to, you know, think about the best possible, not maybe yours, but maybe somebody who had the best possible university experience. That's kind of the vibe of your life that's calling you forward. And it's okay to take a bunch of classes and have fun doing it. And it's okay to share what you see, you know, as true, right? So what else can I say? Yeah, so if you're manipulating what other people are thinking about, that's not the true. I mean, you're going to smell your own shit out. So it's like not even worth talking about. These things that you can be preoccupied with. But yeah, Debbie's looking for a new group. Okay, cool. Well, welcome. Maybe this is it. Maybe you can tell us if we're on track or not. Okay. So, and also I just want to point out North Node in Capricorn. I saw somebody, was it you, Kendra? Kendra has her North Node in Taurus in the 10th house. And so this is what I was trying to say earlier. So Kendra can read for North Node in Taurus, and she can also read for North Node in Capricorn, right? Because Capricorn rules the 10th house. Mine was a bad example. Hers is a good example. So North Node in Capricorn, this is going to be another layer for Kendra and anybody else who has that. Nobody, but maybe somebody watching the replay. Oops. So Capricorns, North Node Capricorns are on a quest for being mature, you know, having self-control, having to be an adult. And that's not always fun, especially if you're young, right? And you missed an element of that Sagittarius, Leo fun side, right? North Node and Capricorn are some of the most earth magic, Stevie Nicks, cool, like CSNY vibe people out there. And they have this guru energy, and it's because they've taken the time to learn something all the way along. They didn't just hop in real quick with a hot teacher and get the good stuff and leave. They were there, they read all the books, they went to all the courses, they know what they're talking about, right? And so there's an element of maturity and authority that comes through. And so what they're on a quest for really is this element of I can provide for myself. There's a fear that you're not going to be provided for. And so this North Node in Capricorn, it's almost like they're required to provide for themselves, to lead themselves on this journey, and to trust themselves. And that can feel really bad, because if you're learning to trust yourself, does that mean that you had parents that you couldn't trust? Does it mean that you had a business partner that you couldn't trust? It can come, like, trusting yourself can come out in a lot of different flavors. So if you're taking this personally, or if you're reading for somebody else, we just want to have the most amount of compassion possible. The North Node in Capricorn, you're destined for success. Absolutely. You're destined to be the CEO, but at a deeper level, they might not be comfortable for it. They might have wanted an easier ride. They, even though that Capricorn CEO, top of the food chain, business driven, interesting, like leader personality that's very earthy and magical, like these types of people, they still need to be taken care of. They still need to be given a softness, right? They don't want to do everything by themselves all the time. And there's usually some family karma that I see with North Node and Capricorn people. They've already been all of the things of the opposite of that. They've already been in the South Node, the householder, the housewife, the homemaker. They've already been the support staff, and now they need some support staff. And so it's uncomfortable for them, because they're comfortable like, oh, I'll take care of that. I'll get it all done. I'll make the party. I'll tie it up with a bow. Everything's happy. But to get them out of their comfort zone, they have to actually go be the head of their company. So Camden says, yes, that's her dad. Blessings. Okay. Now, North Node in Aquarius, I know we had one. Is it Atali? I love that beautiful name. How do you say it? And anybody else? Cool. Okay. And Aunt's daughter, North Node in Aquarius. Okay. The North Node in Aquarius, I want you to think of the people like our friend Astro Auntie, Sarah El Harar, right? Like, she's a trendsetter. She is bold. She knows what's going to be on trend. I don't want to say trendsetter, but trend feeler, right? There's this eclectic, eccentric, out of the normal with the North Node in Aquarius. And so we think about Aquarius, we think about power to the people, we think about equality, and that requires that air element of balancing things out. Aquarius is fixed air, right? And so a lot of times there can be this element of only seeing things with blinders on. And in your life purpose, you're looking for that objectivity without the ice, right? And so what you have already at your disposal is a bunch of groups, a bunch of networks, a bunch of, you are part of the underground subway system of soul connections with your North Node in Aquarius. And so do you ever have friends that are like, oh, what I do is connect people? And I'm like, oh, really? Who pays you to do that? And then I'm like, wait, can you help me with a connection? You know what I mean? And so it's like that weird thing that their sole purpose, they might feel really good connecting people, putting groups of people together. Right. So there's got to be a North Node in Aquarius, somebody down here that's going to put our beekeepers with our herbalists, with our astrologists, and find something juicy about it. They're blending, they're the Venn diagrammers, but they find that thing in common for the purpose of the tribe of humanity learning something together. Right. You think about like the group consciousness. That's what the North Node in Aquarius is here for, is to pull out that thing that the group needs and bring it to attention. And what they really want, of course, is to be loved and adored and unconditionally cared for. they can get into the danger zone of seeking approval in relationship. They've already been the king and the queen, right? They've already been, now they're the kingmaker. That's one of those ones that nobody wants to hear. Nobody wants to hear like, oh, your support staff, you know what I mean? But it's not support staff. What it is you're finding out like what is the theme of this group, and how can I convey that to the right person that has the right voice and the right megaphone and the right channel, right? These are the influencers of our world. And what they're learning is to how to see something without taking it personally and making it like their personal journey. It's like, oh, I'm observing this thing that's going on in the world, as opposed to this thing is happening to me and I just want you to love me, right? Like there's a balance between the South Node and the North Node here. That's tricky, you know, it's a tricky one to nail. We can talk about that more too. So North Node in Pisces, I know we have a couple here. Of course, we've got Anne Shelley in the 6th house. Anybody else? Sarah, welcome. Didn't see your note earlier. Cool. Okay, so a lot of North Node in Pisces and a lot of North Node in Libra people here today. I love it. So Pisces, you know, what you've already had is all of the Virgo stuff, right? Like you've already, in some form or fashion, you have had order and discipline, and you've had like to be precise with things. You've had the data. And so you're being called into something that is into the mystic, right? Van Morrison, play it loud, play it proud, listen to it, and just blend into them. These are, you're being called to go into a state of yogic meditation. You're being called to be the ocean, not the drop of water. We know you're the drop of water. We know what you look like as a drop of water. And you're being called to go into this like new state of consciousness. And it requires a lot of self-compassion. It requires a lot of non-judgment on other people. Well, I don't want to be in their ocean, you know, and all the reasons why. Like, nope, it's just a state of bliss that you're after. And that's so important for the tribe of humanity, that some of us get that perk of bliss. You know what I mean? When I see North Node and Pisces in my clients, they're usually highly creative people. And this is because they have all that like Virgo past stuff where they're able to like overanalyze, see things clearly, get the data, do it really well, be very intricate with things. But when they can let go of or when they can incorporate that well into their artistic side, I see them being some of the most beautiful, poetic, artistic, creative people. And that's a hard challenge in a world, in this society that doesn't pay artists, or it doesn't pay to be following your heart around, you know what I mean? And so it's a big challenge, but you can't not do it, you know? And so you are trying to blend everything, you're trying to blur the lines, and you're trying to erase some hard rules that have been put in place for your own safety, right? And so my North Node and Pisces people, I see also where, let's see, can I think of a good example? I just see where they're using some outdated survival skills, is how I'll say it, right? They don't need to operate the way they're operating, because they're not, if you're seeking bliss, you're surviving. You're not worried about these lower things, right? And so sometimes when my North Node Pisces people are like working on their survival stuff, they've been given the opportunity to seek conscious connection, conscious contact with their higher power, with the source of the universe, with the lifeblood that flows through the trees and the water and the streams. And so this universal conscious connection, you know, if you go like way out there, some of my North Node Pisces people are super, super out there, right? That's okay. Let them be out there. Some of them are medium out there. That feels good too, right? But I have a couple of healers in my life that are North Node Pisces people. And I'm like, oh, you're speaking light language and shamanic drumming, and I just came for a massage. You know what I mean? Like, it's like there's this tendency to go way out when everybody's not quite up there yet. But they're very, they can get into trance easily. And so that's important to know about yourself if you're working through psychic development and wanting to do trance work, to be in a healthy place, because there is like an easy influence when you're under the influence, whether that's spirit or kombucha or anything else, right? So what they really want is that South Node Virgo stuff to be right all the time. And usually they are, but just like Cancer North Node, usually they are. So you can trust them. You can listen to them. They have good advice. They know all the products. They've done all the research. You could absolutely call your North Node and Pisces friend and know that they know what you need for your health, maybe more so than you do, because there's that intuition too. So, all right. And so we don't have to make everybody follow the plan. One of the other things I'll say with what these people really want. Karen, if we have time, can we cover North Node crossing ascendant? Yeah, sure, absolutely. So, okay, I'll get out of this. I'll get through this part. How am I doing on time? Oh, I'm doing good. So how you do a career reading, if you're Tiffany, is I look at these 3 cosmic career advisors. So if you're like, I need more about my soul purpose, and I need it to be more than just how something's expressed through me, I need some tangible stuff. You're going to go look at your rising sign for how you like to work. And that answers your question, Karen. So your rising sign, if your North Node is in your rising sign, it's going to really give you good insight about what you came here to do. Like, you're going to be more clear about it than the rest of us. It's so perfect. It's who you are. It's how you shine. If you want to share what a more specific question, we could look at that too. But the 3 things that you're looking at are the rising sign, tells you how you work, sun sign, what kind of worker you are, right? And then what's my next one? Oh, Saturn, of course, what job best suits you, what industry you're really good at, and what's most in alignment with your soul work, right? Saturn, the Lord of Karma. I bet, did you guys think I was going to say Saturn? You're like, why is Saturn in there? And then, so you're going to look at those 3 things, the rising sign, sun sign, and Saturn sign, and you're going to get a vibe, right? So for me, I have Sag rising, my sun's in Scorpio, my Saturn is in Libra, right? Kind of interesting to note. I want to make astrology, I want to make human design, I want to make herbalism and beekeeping accessible to everyone, Saturn and Libra, right? I want it to be fair. I want to do stuff for free, which is what we're doing today, right? I want it to be accessible to everybody. Then you're going to look at the 3 houses. So what's going on in their 10th house? This gives you a good flavor for what they ought to be doing. Then you're going to look at the 6th house, which has to do with their routine, their day-to-day. And often you'll find what people like really want to do is in their 6th house, not their 10th house. It's like what they're really more interested in. And usually you'll see their hobbies in there too. It's the stuff that they're going to do regardless. And then the 2nd house is really how they make money. And you can really help somebody. I did a reading last week where somebody's Pluto was in their 2nd house, right? So sorry if that was you. I don't think that person's here, but if your Pluto is in your 2nd house, you're going to have a lot of upheaval with your finances. And so if you see Pluto in the 2nd house and you're trying to do a career, a soul purpose reading, something like that, you're going to know that it's going to be like really up and down. This person, you cannot guide them to have some strategic 9-to-5 chop wood, carry water thing. They're going to have a lot of money when they have a lot of money, and they're going to have not a lot of money when they don't have a lot of money, right? So if you see, you can start to play with what's going on in those houses. And good. Okay, great. Pluto's in your 2nd house. Not trying to call you out. I'm just saying it's good to know if you've got a lot of, it's like, let the good times roll and then save some and be conservative, because inevitably it's going to go back down. The pendulum's going to keep swinging with Pluto in the 2nd house. And it describes our materialism and our money. Your spiritual mission is the North Node. And that's what we talked about today. It gives us the bigger picture. It gives us a sense of connection. You can also see this in your 10th house or your midheaven, that give back, right? There was a great workshop that Sarah did. It's in our membership. So if you are a member, you can look back in our old classes and go through and find her workshop on the midheaven. I found it to be very powerful. And so that combined with this North Node insight I hope will really help you feel a sense of connection to what you are called to do and how it might come through you. All right. I want to talk about the nodal shift from Aries to Libra is happening this July. And I gave us a little mantra. So I'm awakened and inspired to reach new heights. The Aries and Libra shift, right? So I was saying that the South Node is in Scorpio right now, and it's crossing, let's see, my Mercury. So here in July, the nodes are always going in apparent retrograde motion, right? And so they're shifting from Taurus, Scorpio into Aries, Libra. So it feels like they're dialing back around from 210 to, or yeah, 2-8 to 1-7. So maybe some of you are following me, but this nodal shift it's getting out of the financial axis, and it's going into this me versus we axis. And it helps us see where we need to be independent and where we need to collaborate. A lot of astrologers do predict war during a time of the North Node in Aries. And so a time we can be at war with ourselves. And if we are at war with ourselves, I guarantee you we're going to see it out there in the media and in the world. And so Libra helps us balance out that war within ourselves. It helps us balance out the masculine and feminine. And I put rage in there. We've got Pluto in Aquarius right now. There is a shift in power. There is a shift from the masculine to the feminine, and this continuing to take classes and learn about polarity in the way that we can have healthy masculinity, healthy femininity, healthy spectrum in between everything. This whole shift into the Aries Libra, it's going to be very on point to be talking about these topics for a while. Oh, the other hot topics. Good job, Past Tiffany. Yeah, things that are Aries, the North Node in Aries, weapons, swords, martial arts. And then we've got the Libra side, right? Beauty, fashion, and art. And so you're going to see advances in media in these areas, of course. I think we're going to see a lot of divorce. I'm not like ever, I don't want to predict that, but I think that why astrologers say that is because when you're shifting into the North Node in Aries, people feel like they really want to do their thing. And so if your partnership isn't built on something that you have common values on, and you guys are like wanting to do the same thing and go in the same direction, it can feel like there's a separation. You don't have to get divorced over it. You can just ride the wave. You can just do your thing for a while and they can do their thing. But if your things are so drastically different, right, this will be a time that you'll feel that urgency to go ahead and follow your direction in the way that it needs to go. So what else did I say? Non-traditional relationships. Yeah. To thine own self be true. I hope that my Drew feels the getting divorced vibes right now. You're not alone. There are other people in this group today that also feel you. And you're going to have to text me about that because I'm going to need to know some more info on that. So to thine own self be true is what I hope my kids, if I teach nothing to my children, I hope it's that, and if there's anything that astrology can teach you, it's that. To your own self be true. This is an 18-month period that is focusing on you, Aries, the self, what you want, what you came to do. And so you can have a selfish vibe. It can go unpolitely. It can go ugly. You can be the person with the blinders on that's crashing around and hurting other people at the expense of everybody to just get what they want. Or you can use it more inspirationally to really be in greater alignment with what you want to do. And so that's what I'm going through, that's what you're going through. That's what we're all going through. And so we're going to see some companies take different directions. We're going to see some people take a new interest in something that they haven't given themselves permission to be interested in because they thought that they had to do the thing that they trained for to do, right? And so you're going to just see some selfishness, but you're also going to see some self-purification, some honesty, right? And nothing feels better than being honest with somebody that you've been trying to seek approval from, and you're just honest with them, right? Feels so good. July 11th is a big date to watch. Mercury will be in 29 Cancer. Pluto will be in 29 Capricorn. They're opposing each other. At the same time, that's when the nodes move out of the money signs and into the war signs. And so they move 1 week later, and they're going to be there for an 18-month cycle. And so a lot of people, astrologers, talk about the North Node as the head of the dragon, eating, chewing, going towards thirsty for, hungry destiny, and the South Node being the tail of the dragon, eliminating, don't need, already had it, right? So this Mercury and Pluto, and then the nodes form a cardinal cross in the sky in Cancer, Cap, Aries, and Libra. Okay, and so this is a big day to watch. I'm not saying like don't do something, or I'm not saying like let's all hide under the rock. I'm just saying it'll be very interesting to see what happens that day. Mercury is the messenger of the gods, the news carrier, the communications, right? And in Cancer, homeland. So what kind of news are people going to have about their home, their homeland? What? Security, right? Pluto and Capricorn. Big business in the sign of the where it's been, right? Because Pluto's going retrograde. So Pluto's been in Capricorn. And if you think about the archetypes of masculine government leadership, right, which I'm very neutral about personally, but if you think about those type of archetypes coming back around, and there being some big news in those developing areas, and it's making a cardinal cross with the nodes in the sign of the self and war and things like this versus the sign of the other in partnership and treaties and agreements and right, like I don't know, it'll be an interesting day in world history. Let's see if Tiffany's right. But do you see why I think that? Do you see why that's interesting to me? Like, as you start to study astrology, that's a lot of opposing forces. We'll see what happens. The eclipses, I wanted to touch base on what's happening. So the nodes are at the top. The nodes aren't a planetary body. It's not like a moon. It's just a measurement. Okay. And so we're using these measurements at the top and the bottom of the moon's orbit. So when it's at its highest and lowest points going around the earth. And I wrote it, when the new moon or full moon aligns with either of those points, that's when an eclipse occurs. And so the upcoming eclipses are yesterday. Yeah, we all felt that one. Yesterday, because it was in Scorpio, it was crossing over my natal sun and igniting a cardinal cross in my chart. And I felt it early. It wasn't so heavy yesterday. I was tired yesterday, but I'm pointing this out because you'll have a lead up. It's not like, don't focus on October 14th. Focus on giving yourself some room October 10th through 14th. Realize, that you're going to need some breathing room about a week in advance. Or up to a week afterwards too. So the next eclipses are going to be shifting because the nodes are shifting signs. You see that, right? And so we're shifting out of Scorpio, Taurus into Libra, Aries. And so October 14th, we'll have the one in Libra, prioritizing the relationship you have with yourself and with others, and to see the holy being in each other, to see God in each other. Is it Ram Dass who has the quote about seeing everyone as God dressed in drag? I love that quote. If we were walking around treating each other like God dressed in drag, we'd take everybody a lot less seriously, and we would be so happy to see him, or we would be so repulsed, or whatever we would feel. We would feel life. We would feel alive. We would want to make a connection. We would want to understand. Right. And so this idea that we're knowing ourselves through the lens of others is coming. Where can you also lighten up a little bit, right? The October 28th lunar eclipse is in 5 degrees of Taurus. So if you know your chart and these points, 21 Libra or 5 Taurus, activate something, meaning like they're right next to something, this can be a powerful eclipse for you. And a lot of times we can't predict them, but they make so much sense looking back. And there was an eclipse in a former life for me from now that I couldn't see, but there was information that was hidden from me. And when it was revealed, looking back, it was hidden on the eclipse, and it was really uncool. And my point is that there's likely more to be seen later by looking back at the eclipse, even though we tend to have this feeling of like something's different. I want to pursue my calling. I want to leave. I want to burn this all down, right? I want to do something else with my life. This is your one precious human life. And so if you hear nothing else today, just hear that this is your one precious human life, and do what you want with it. Do exactly what you want with it, and use the nodal energy to inspire yourself. And if you don't know what you want to do with it, you're not taking time. If you don't know what you want to do, if you don't know what you like to do, you have too much on the schedule. You don't have enough creative time with God, with nature, with whoever you want to hang out with. You've got too much pinned in. You're making yourself study too much or journal too much. You just need some free time to relax and take it easy and get in touch with your personal desires in life. I told you about the resources. This is the book on the North Node. I'm sure there's other great ones. This is the one that I use to teach from. It's so juicy. There's so many pages for you. And then of course my company, Wise Skies Collective. And I'm going to stop the share so I can get back into the chat. Let's see. Ooh, Shelly, Libra Sun, 23 degrees. Okay, so interesting year for you ahead. I'm glad to see what's up in your next quarter astrology. And then Sarah says she's a Virgo, Sun, Moon, Rising. She's hearing that her 10th house Gemini fits in nicely with her North Node Libra, yes. And that the South Node Aries axis, it makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways. And that she's done a few deep dives into the houses and planets, but struggled to alchemize the details into a bigger picture. Okay, so before I give some advice, does anybody else want to chime in? How do you alchemize? How do you connect the cosmic dots here? So she's got stuff that's making sense, but she wants something more. So how do we do that? How do you do that? How do you feel a sense of fulfillment? How do you connect all these cosmic dots together? For me, Sarah, my personal answer as Tiffany, not the astrologer, like friend hat, is really through synchronicity. When I get synchronicity, I feel tapped into the pulse of God, tapped into the pulse of the universe, tapped into something greater than me. And that's when the cosmic dots start to connect. And so, yes. Hello.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. I was just showing. I used to own. I sold this house with Mark.
Yeah,
just showing.
Please do. Yeah, I'm just teaching a Zoom.
Okay, I was just looking at the fireplace. The fireplace is gone.
The herbalists are here, so that's where I look for all those bigger picture things. I use them all together, and I look for synchronicity out there in the world, and or when I'm doing a reading with somebody, and they're like, "That makes sense." I'm like, "Oh, my life is great. It's meaningful. It's worthwhile, right?" Or that's one way. But it does require a lot of study, it does require a lot of paying attention and then asking and then going out and living your life. Let me reread that. Virgo, Sun, Moon, Rising. Okay, so what do we know about that? She needs to be involved in healthcare, balancing of some balancing going on. Sun and Moon are also there. Also, a rising sign is there, so there can be a tendency to get in the weeds, a tendency to get into too heavily in the details of things. And so asking for tips, looking for like getting out of the bigger picture, it's like getting out of yourself some, getting out of your sun, getting out of your moon, getting out of your rising sign. Your 10th house Gemini, right? So her 10th house Gemini, she's a wordsmith. She's got to communicate. She's got to let us know what the details are. And her North Node in Libra in the second house. Okay, so she's somebody who's really called to balance things out. So you just got to go experiment with it. Basically, you just got to go play with it, and you got to live your life and not just stay stuck in studying your life, but getting out there and living it. And I hope that that's somewhat useful. Yeah, Camden says, try something you've never done before. That's good. I just love the synchronicities. Good. Okay. We helped her out, guys. Thanks for helping me help her out. But the wordsmith thing, journaling, spending some time writing about it, sharing your experiences through classes, like that's going to help you feel a sense of it's all coming together now, right? Well, I guess I better go soon because they are ready to tour the house and I wasn't expecting that. So everybody check out American Botanical Council so we can thank them for letting me teach here today. Happy Kentucky Derby Saturday. If you're watching, let me know which horse you're betting on. Blessings to all the horses and jockeys and riders and trainers and everybody that's going to need it today. And are there any last questions? Something that I didn't touch on that you would really like me to touch on? You're welcome to, oh, UK Coronation Day. I'm out of the know. I'm stuck in horseland. Okay. What does that even mean? You have to tell me. Unmute yourself. Unmute thyself.
The new King of England was crowned this morning.
This morning?
This morning, yeah.
Oh my God. We're going to have to do a chart about it and see what's happening.
Definitely.
Thanks for letting me know. I should have put that in yesterday's newsletter. I've been moving. You guys know how that is. There was an eclipse. I had a wedding. I'm out of the know. Well, it means so much to me to see your faces and the Wise Guys family, guys. I will send this replay out with the correct link. And thank you for your patience as times change. You know, with this information, we evolve and we grow and we find deeper purpose and meaning. And, you know, just look for the synchronicities, look for the helpers, and let's go have a beautiful, magical weekend. All right. Namaste, guys.